The tragedy in Harrow has prompted messages to Windsor Morning. Among the texts, emails, and phone calls are messages from men asking about services in Windsor, Essex to help with mental health and aggressive behaviours. To answer some of this, we've invited Joyce Zuck into our studio. She's the Executive Director of Family Services, Windsor, Essex. Good morning.
Good morning, Amy.
So I want to start with two of the programs that you have available through Family Services, Windsor, Essex. Can you explain PAR as well as Out of the Red?
Sure. So PAR stands for the Partner Assault Response Program. It is a court-mandated program for individuals who have been violent to their partners. It is a 12-week psychoeducational program where when we're working with those who identify as male, we are looking at some of the traditional stereotypes that men often define themselves by. Fundamental to the programming is talking about the fact that when we're looking to resolve conflicts, violence is never the answer.
And then the other program is Out of the Red. How is that different?
So Out of the Red is a voluntary group. Anyone can call in and they can sign up for it. Again, it's a 12-week program where we explore the issue of anger. Some of the things that we talk about in the group is what anger is, what are the physiological or the body's responses when anger is taking place. We talk about the fact that anger is something that is normal. Every one of us will be angry at some point in our lives, but what we want to help the participants in the group to understand is the difference between when we're having feelings of anger and then the difference when we act upon those feelings and perhaps if they translate into violence, and talking about how we can get a handle of our emotions and our feelings. We look at developing coping strategies, and we explore some of the reasons why people may gravitate to violence.
And you mentioned there that some of these men are court mandated to attend the program, specifically the PAR one. What does that say about how bad things need to get for someone to get help?
Well, that's one of the things that's challenged us since we began to deliver the program 7 years ago. When we look at PAR, it's a program that takes place once the violence has happened. And one of the things that we've been having a conversation about is the fact that we need to be doing more upstream work. We need to be intervening and working with people before we get to the point where violence has taken place.
Now, I want you to hear this because Windsor Police recently arrested 6 people with outstanding warrants related to intimate partner violence. That's related to a unit that started 3 months ago, and it is sort of trying to address getting to people before it gets to the point of these programs that we're talking about. Here's Staff Sergeant Richard Sieber. He's of the Special Victims Unit with the Windsor Police, and he's going to be explaining the early intervention program.
It's designed to proactively identify individuals that are in intimate partner relationships that when police go there, that may not rise to criminal conduct. But if we don't intervene and provide the supports, they may turn into violence or in situations where criminal offenses may occur. So basically, it's pretty simple. Our officers attend the address, they de-escalate the situation, and then if no charges are to be laid, they'll talk to the complainant and say, hey, would you be interested in speaking with someone from Family Services?
I'm wondering how successful this program has been over the last 3 months. Are you seeing people coming to you?
Yeah, so I'm really pleased that you have brought this up because, first of all, we were excited when the Windsor Police Service reached out to us. It really speaks to the fact that there's a recognition across the board that we need to be doing, as I referenced, that upstream work. So since we've been involved, we've had just over 50 referrals to us. When we have reached out, we have now had 7 folks who have agreed to start a regime of counseling at Family Services. And so I think what we know, and again, this is rooted in what the literature tells us. It's reaching out to people, letting them know that there are options to help them resolve whatever conflict is taking place, doing that before the situation can escalate, and being there to offer immediate services, because in these situations we know that probably people can't wait.
Yeah. And I'm wondering for people who are listening right now, how do they know that maybe they're on, they need that early intervention right now? When do we know that a fight is more than just a fight?
Yeah. And one of the things is we are talking to people about using the terminology of an argument. When we use the word fight, it has that connotation of violence. So we do need to be continually having a strong communication about this topic, and we need to be looking at our language. One of the things that we would say to couples is that everyone will have an argument. We know that when that happens, that emotions are running high, that hurtful things are said. So, to be open and honest, it's not unhealthy for people to have an argument, but it's important for couples to learn how to respectfully do that, which involves developing strong communication skills. But the difference between an argument and abuse is that in cases of abuse, there is a repeated pattern of saying hurtful things that are meant to control or demean the person. These attacks can be passive or they can be actually direct. Some examples would be if one of the partners is making mocking or ridiculing comments. Maybe they're insulting their partner. They're blaming their partner or they're scapegoating. They're being disrespectful. They're being intimidating. They're controlling the conversation. And ultimately, they're trying to manipulate the situation. In cases like this, the victim is made to feel powerless. They probably are filled with self-doubt, and ultimately they are afraid. What we know is that these are some of the warning signs that can perhaps predict if someone is going to become violent in the future.
How do you approach your partner and suggest one of your programs?
I think you have to have the conversation. And that can be really hard when you're in an intimate relationship. And we would suggest to people that when an argument is taking place is probably not the time to bring that forward. You want to quickly de-escalate the situation. You want to stop that abusive pattern. Many times it mandates that the other partner has to leave the situation. But then we have to bring that up. But it's not just incumbent on the partner to bring that up. And one of the things that we want to continue to have a societal conversation about is that if we have friends, if we note family members that appear to be struggling, it's incumbent on all of us to step in and say something. And this is where we believe that men have a critical role to play. Men have men as friends, and we would like to see more men calling one another out and encouraging each other to get help. What we know is that men are less likely than men to reach out and seek assistance, and if their male colleagues were actually speaking to them, if their friends were encouraging them to get support, maybe we could decrease the numbers of intimate partner violence in this province, in this country.
All right. Thank you for all the work that you do, Joyce, and thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Amy.